On this edition for Sunday, July 22nd, the latest on alleged ties between the Trump administration and Russia. In our signature segment, how the demand for H-2B visas is impacting the seafood supply in Maryland. And allegations of abuse at the hands of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Next on PBS NewsHour Weekend.
From the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center in New York, Hari Sreenivasan.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Some of the FBI's reasons for the surveillance of former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page became public over the weekend, and this morning was filled with reactions. The heavily redacted documents include applications from the FBI to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, or FISA court, which oversees approval of surveillance warrants. Starting in October 2016, the FISA court approved multiple warrants to surveil Page, who the FBI suspected was, quote, an agent of a foreign power and, quote, the subject of targeted recruitment by the Russian government. Today, Page denied allegations that he worked for the Russian government.
No, I've never been an agent of the foreign power by any stretch of the imagination.
This morning, President Trump tweeted that the documents support his repeated claims that his 2016 campaign was, quote, illegally being spied on and that the FBI misled the courts. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham attacked the FBI's use of an opposition research dossier created by former British agent Christopher Steele as a basis for the surveillance.
If the dossier is the reason you issued the warrant, it was a bunch of garbage. The dossier is proven to be a bunch of garbage.
But Republican Senator Marco Rubio supported the FBI's intelligence operation.
I don't think they did anything wrong. I think they went to the court. They got the judges to approve it. They laid out all the information, and there was a lot of reasons unrelated to the dossier for why they wanted to look at Carter Page.
Adam Schiff, the ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, dismissed the president's allegations against the FBI.
We can now confirm that he did, in fact, have meetings with Russian officials. So it was a solid application and renewals signed by 4 different judges appointed by 3 different Republican presidents.
These new revelations come less than a week after Mr. Trump's private summit meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. To help put it all into perspective, NewsHour Weekend special correspondent Jeff Greenfield joins us now from Santa Barbara. So Jeff, are we in the same political place now than we were before the summit happened?
It may seem improbable, but I would argue we are. You have to go back 3 years to the very start of Donald Trump's campaign when he insulted Mexico. He had harsh words about John McCain. The feeling was this is going to be fatal. And ever since, no matter what he said and done, everything that for other candidates or presidents might be disastrous has not changed the reality. The majority of Americans disapprove, but huge majorities of Republicans approve. And just today we learned from a new Washington Post ABC poll that most Republicans, by large majorities, approve of what he did at Helsinki at the summit, even though most Americans in general don't. That pattern seems like it just keeps going on.
What about when members of his own party turn against him or criticize him?
Here again, the normal situation is that when a president's own party turns against him with harsh words, that has an impact. And yet, despite the criticism from Republican congressional leaders, folks on Fox News, former House Speaker Gingrich, to say this was really a bad week, the dust clears, and Trump supporters say, no, if Trump says something is true, it's true.
So is it time for us to start calling it maybe a different party then? If there is a chunk of the party that is so loyal to the president that it actually finds that disagreement from the party leadership only strengthens the president's position?
For now, I think it's true. He has totally redefined what a Republican is, whether the issue is free trade, tough on Russia, deficits. We're going to have $1 trillion deficit next year. This was absolute heresy in the old Republican Party, but for the Trump followers, it doesn't seem to be.
All right, let's talk about the other stories of significance this week that you actually follow fairly often and say sometimes it gets snowed over by how much Trump occupies the media sphere.
Yeah, I know I keep coming back to the point, but it keeps happening. What was the big story, say, 9 days ago? The separation of children from their parents because of ICE. Or take a more subtle one, the dismembering of the Affordable Care Act. You've had the end of the individual mandate, massive cutback on subsidies to the insurance exchanges, shrinking the outreach program. And Trump announced this week this big new initiative. We're going to have association health plans to let individuals and small businesses band together. That was a signature argument of his campaign. And you know what the Independent Business Federation has said? Unworkable, can't do it. And what that suggests in terms of rising premiums that have already gone up a third is going to have an enormous impact on millions of Americans. And it's almost hard to find a sentence about that in the media because of the crowding out issue.
And finally, what about this number of stories that we're seeing about the Democratic Party and the pressure it's facing from the left?
Look, I think this has to be put in context. The idea that this suddenly happened because a young woman socialist won a congressional primary in New York. Let's remember that 2 years ago, a socialist named Bernie Sanders got 13 million primary votes for president. So this is not exactly a sudden lurch. Yeah. And the second thing to remember is you're not seeing the left challenge centrist Democrats in competitive races. Joe Manchin's the most conservative Democrat in the Senate from West Virginia. There's no primary challenge. The celebration about Connor Lamb, a centrist Democrat winning a congressional seat in Pennsylvania, tells you that by and large, the Democrats are focused on trying to retake the House and the Senate. If I can mention one more thing, next week we're going to take a look at why, uniquely in America, socialism has never caught on as a major political force. We'll be talking about that next week.
All right, we'll look forward to it. NewsHour Weekend special correspondent Jeff Greenfield joining us from California. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
More than a dozen people were killed and at least 50 were wounded today when a suicide bomb exploded outside the airport in Kabul, Afghanistan. The attack came moments after controversial First Vice President Abdul Rashid Dostum's motorcade passed through an area where a crowd was gathered to meet him. Dostum, a former warlord, left Afghanistan last year after he was accused of kidnapping and torturing a political rival. Members of Israel's LGBTQ community went on strike today to protest the exclusion of gay men from new surrogacy legislation. Protesters blocked a major thoroughfare in the capital of Tel Aviv and held rallies across the country. The Israeli parliament gave single women and women unable to become pregnant the right to apply for state support for surrogacy last week. However, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did not back an amendment that would have extended the same right to single men and gay couples. The Trump administration is considering changes to Medicare that would make payments for a visit to the doctor's office the same, regardless of a patient's condition. The government currently pays doctors different rates depending on the severity of a Medicare patient's illness, using a scale of 1 to 5. The head of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services says the new one-rate plan would reduce paperwork. Critics say the new plan would underpay physicians when they treat more complex problems and could discourage doctors from taking on new Medicare patients. The proposal is being published this Friday and, if approved, would apply to Medicare payments starting next January. Read why Vermont's new sexual harassment law is unique at pbs.org/newshour. For more than 30 years, many U.S. employers and seasonal businesses have relied on foreign workers to fill positions Americans often won't apply for. The H-2B visa program allows companies to hire migrants temporarily for low-skilled, non-agricultural jobs in everything from the hotel business to landscaping to meat packing and seafood processing. But this year, with demand soaring to a historic rate, many companies have not been able to secure H-2B visas for their workers. NewsHour Weekend's Christopher Booker reports from Maryland's Eastern Shore, where the state's famed crab industry is feeling the effects. This story is part of our ongoing series about poverty and opportunity in America, Chasing the Dream.
What is said to differentiate Maryland crab is the saltiness of the Chesapeake Bay and the perfectly sized jumbo lump of meat that comes from the back fin. The extraction process is largely the same as it's been for the past 100 years, with the crab picked by hand, traditionally by women, but the faces of those doing the picking have changed.
The American crab picker is gone by the wayside. The older ladies have died off, and the younger ladies now want a full-time job. We only offer 8 months out of the year. We're seasonal. So they want something that they can count on year-round with benefits, and we don't offer that.
Like others in the area, Harry Phillips has gotten around the shortage of American workers with the migrant workforce, hired season after season, and brought legally to the U.S. on H-2B visas.
You have to have your petition in the 1st of January so we could have our workers here the first day of April. And it's always been first come, first served. It's worked out perfect over these last 25 years.
The way it works is that American companies themselves apply for the visas. Once they are approved, they can invite foreign workers to come. But this year, the room is empty where 50 workers, most of them women from Mexico, usually pick crab. Record demand for the visas across the country, coupled with changes to the program, squeezed Phillips out.
I need this. My family needs it. You know, my children and my grandchildren coming up, they're counting on this business to keep them going in the future.
This January, U.S. companies applied for more than 80,000 H-2B visas for the second half of the fiscal year, but only 33,000 were available under a long-standing congressional cap. In response to this year's demand, the government changed the way it awards H-2Bs, moving from a first-come, first-served system to a lottery. Harry Phillips's company was not selected.
My accountant comes ever so often, and when she said, I got some good news and bad news. And the bad news was I hadn't made any money, and the good news was I weren't going to have to pay any quarterly taxes. So that tells you what we're doing.
While it is quiet at Phillips's plant, one of his competitors, nearby Lindy's Seafood, is surviving for now with a fraction of its usual workforce. They're working off visas issued last fall. Lindy's, too, was not selected in the lottery.
This is everything. Like, my family grew up here. Like, in the summer times, this is what we did. We didn't take vacations. We picked crabs. Like, this is what we do. So
Aubrey Vincent has worked for the family business since she was 12 years old. She normally hires about 130 seasonal crab pickers, the majority on H-2B visas.
Why is it so difficult to hire Americans to do these jobs?
I have amazing American truck drivers. I have some American pickers. I have tons of people in my office. The lady that runs this plant, she's a full-time American employee. The problem that I'm running into is I don't have enough. So I use the H-2B program to supplement that American workforce. So I think a lot of it has to do in our area, we just don't have the people. There's not a lot of people moving into the area because people are looking for full-time opportunities.
Vincent estimates the business is losing thousands of dollars a day. The pasteurizer and cooler she purchased last winter sit empty and unused.
Thinking of the losses you're taking now, if you were to increase your wages, would you be able to shrink those losses?
I pay more than any picking house in the area, significantly more. I pay $4.50 a pound, and I pay $9.51 training wage. So a lot of my employees are making anywhere from like $12 to $16 an hour. We're paying more than any of the open positions in town, and still I can't seem to get people interested.
By the end of December, all 19 of Vincent's H-2B workers will have to return home, and there's no guarantee she'll be able to hire them back next year.
I mean, our situation is bad, but there's people, you know, in the country have a lot worse than us, and they need to make sure the representatives understand that.
Here's some information on H-2B.
But Vincent is not sitting idle. This summer, she moved from phone calls to direct interaction on the streets of Washington.
Here's some information on the H-2B program.
Congress could fix it, the administration could fix it. I mean, there's a lot of different people that if they were willing to step up and really look at the program objectively, they could fix it.
The many different players might be part of the complication. When the H-2B program hit its cap, only Congress could authorize more to be released. After months of delays, in March, Congress did authorize more than 63,000 additional visas. But that's not the end of the story. The visas must be approved by two additional parties, the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Labor. That's a slow process on top of the congressional delay. So far, only 15,000 additional visas have been issued, once again through a lottery. Only one Maryland crab processing company was selected.
An issue very important to my district, I have the beautiful Eastern Shore of Maryland, is the H-2B visa issue.
Maryland's Eastern Shore is represented by Republican Congressman Andy Harris, who sits on the subcommittee of the Department of Homeland Security.
And they have to bring those crabs to be processed somewhere. They have to be picked, because when you eat a crab cake, believe me, you're not eating the whole crab.
These visas are sitting with the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Labor ready to go, but the processing plants are sitting empty.
It's a fairly lengthy process, normally takes a couple of months. We're hoping that it can get shortened to only several weeks, but there is a process.
15,000 is woefully inadequate when you've had so many applications. They knew full well that this was coming.
Yeah, this is Congress's problem. Congress has set the cap. Congress delayed doing their omnibus bill. We included the fix in a late appropriations measure, and everything cascaded. It was a domino effect.
Congressman Harris was one of 82 representatives to sign a letter calling on the Department of Homeland Security to release the additional visas.
This is actually the ideal foreign worker to come in, because they actually are supporting our Medicare system, supporting our Social Security system, even though they will never participate in it.
But Harris says convincing groups on both sides of the political spectrum isn't easy. Workers' rights and civil rights groups argue the system needs reform and increased oversight to protect migrants from exploitation. And union groups like the AFL-CIO have argued that allowing migrants to work seasonally depresses wages for American workers. At the same time, some conservative lawmakers have taken a hard line against expansion of the program.
A lot of the arguments for this kind of program boils down to this. No American will do that job. That is a lie. It is a lie. There's no job that Americans will not do.
Congressman Harris says the H-2B program is not just about the jobs the migrant workers are doing.
For every job that they're filling, there are at least 3 or 4 American jobs that depend on it. So there's the person who supplies the containers that they're going to put the crab meat in. There's the trucker who trucks the containers in and the filled containers out. There's the restaurant who serves the crab. There are the distributors. There are the waitresses in the restaurants. There are many downstream jobs.
Those downstream are already feeling the effects. At Old Salty's, a popular Eastern Shore restaurant, owner Jay Newcomb says he struggles to find enough fresh crab for his menu.
Last year I put away like 4,000 pounds, and that was all been used up. So now we're in the fresh market, and it's been hard to get also, and plus the price is up a lot.
How much has the price changed?
$3, $4 a pound.
Just this year?
Yes, just this year.
What will it mean for this community if next summer is like this summer and they haven't figured it out yet?
Well, next year we feel that it's going to be worse. There's a lot more demand this year, so a lot more next year, and we just don't think they're going to be as lucky with the lottery.
Who do you think is responsible for what's happened?
It's Washington.
Just this month, the Department of Homeland Security responded to Congressman Harris's letter, informing him that it would not be releasing any additional visas. Where are you next year if you don't get your visas?
So my family started this business. My daughter's 2. What I pray is that I can keep it alive enough that it does get fixed and that I can pass this opportunity down to her. I love this. I love this industry. I love this area. Worst case scenario is I'm not going to be able to pull that off. And that's the scariest part.
All right now.
Lacking solutions, Harry Phillips is making contingency plans.
I can't do it 2 years in a row, no. If we don't get our workers another year, we'll shut the doors, either that or we've even considered, there's crabs in Mexico, and we've been checking to see what's going on, and we're going to fly down there this winter.
To see about maybe setting up shop there?
Setting up shop in Mexico. The ladies are there. They're all willing to work. The crabs are there. This is all I know. I don't have much education, and I do know what I'm doing here. So what else can we do? We can't sit here idle.
Approximately 2,500 children separated at the border from their families are supposed to be reunited by July 26th. While the country pays attention to that story, there's another detention story which has gotten less coverage. That is, allegations of abuse inside detention centers. Data from the Department of Homeland Security's Office of the Inspector General show that thousands of migrants have claimed they were sexually abused while in ICE custody. Emily Cassie, an investigative journalist and filmmaker with the Marshall Project, joins me now to discuss her latest documentary for the New York Times. First, let's take a look at a clip.
It was a friendly relationship at that time, or that's how it was, and then it just kind of snowballed from there.
Él entró al baño y me quitó mi ropa y se quitó su ropa. Y yo no pude decirle que no, yo no pude hacer nada, yo simplemente hice lo que él quería.
That is a clear gap in their perception of how or what this relationship was. How widespread is this problem?
So, sexual abuse in immigration detention has been happening for decades. These cases have come up through watchdog organizations. We wanted to take a deeper look and really understand the extent to which this was happening. And so we were looking at 2 sets of data. One was from the Office of the Inspector General, which you mentioned, and then the other was from ICE itself that was looking at 1,310 allegations of sexual abuse occurring between 2013 and 2017. So we were looking at those 2 sets of data, but understanding that there were a number of issues with those sets of data. The first, of course, is that this issue is largely underreported. We're talking about a population who are often fleeing violence and persecution, who are often asylum seekers, who don't speak the language, as in the case of ED and the guard Daniel Sharkey. He didn't speak Spanish, she didn't speak English. Many of these people don't have access to lawyers because they're not entitled to one. So who they're going to report these things to is very difficult if you don't have that access to a lawyer. And then beyond that, there's this fear of deportation. If you tell someone, will you be deported back?
So there was clearly a power imbalance here. Did she feel like she had to do this in order to protect her child or have any chance at a fair hearing? I mean, what did she say when you spoke to her about this?
Well, when we sat down together, she spoke about fearing that she was going to be forced home with her child, and she had fled severe domestic violence in Honduras. So she was seeking asylum with her 3-year-old son, and the guard, had translated on the phone to her because that was the only way they could communicate through Google Translate. So what she said is that he had translated to her on the phone that she couldn't tell anyone or she would be deported. So given that situation, she said that she felt like she wasn't in a position to say no. She knew what he wanted, and she just went ahead and followed his lead.
What happened to the guard, and why did he decide to sit down with you?
We chose the 2 cases that we did of ED and Maria because they were so rare in that they had convictions. So when it came to ED and Daniel Sharkey's case, I wanted to understand, how did this happen? And from his testimony, he said, everybody knew. Well, how did they know? So we wanted to go to him. And when I spoke to him, I said, look, we are featuring her perspective. We have all these case documents. You're saying that everybody knew about this. We want to give you the opportunity to tell your side of the story. And he felt strongly that he wanted to do that. So when we sat down, he talked about feeling failed by a system. Yeah. He talked about not feeling like he had proper training. When he went to his supervisor and told that supervisor that there was some sort of relationship between himself and ED, the supervisor just told him to keep his distance. So he didn't take it very seriously, and in his words, he really thought he could get away with it.
Emily Cassie, investigative journalist with the Marshall Project. These are just a couple of the cases that you focused on, but as you point out, this is a bigger problem. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
This is PBS NewsHour Weekend, Sunday.
In Syria overnight, hundreds of members of the White Helmets and their families were evacuated from the southwestern part of the country near the border with the Golan Heights. The volunteer rescue group had been trapped in the rebel-held area after an offensive by the Syrian military. ITN reporter Ronke Phillips has the story.
Clambering through the rubble of bombed buildings and digging for survivors, they're used to risking their lives to save others. But in a dramatic turn of events, it was the White Helmets who were being rescued. Carried out in the dead of night by the Israel Defense Forces, these shaky images were taken by a local journalist.
You could feel it was a totally secret operation. Some streets were blocked. There were drones in the air. We could hear the sound of drones. And at one point, when I was standing at the border and watching this operation, I could even hear a gunfire.
Around 200 of the White Helmets have been killed since the war broke out. They maintain they're non-partisan, but supporters of President Assad and his Russian allies claim they have links to jihadists. The rescued volunteers had been working in an area controlled by Syrian opposition forces when they became trapped by a government offensive. The US, the UK and other European nations responded to their requests for help. In a tweet, Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt praised the operation, saying, "The WH are the bravest of the brave, and in a desperate situation, this is at least one ray of hope." The government tonight confirmed some of the rescued volunteers who were taken to the Jordanian border by bus will be settled in the UK. Ronke Phillips, ITV News.
Tomorrow on the NewsHour, the dangers of drinking alcohol during pregnancy. The first in a 2-part series on fetal alcohol spectrum disorders, a condition that's more common than previously thought. That's all for this edition of PBS NewsHour Weekend. I'm Sreenivasan. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.